So you want to design a character for your project, but you don't know where to start? I think I can help you with that. Hi, my name is Alba and I'm a concept artist. As some of you might know, I'm currently developing my world building project Druwides, and because of that and my professional experience, I know a thing or two about creating characters. There are many ways to start the design process. It could be from an idea, a reference, a piece of writing. I will show you the steps that I usually follow so you can try them for yourself and see if they work for you too. In my case, I already have this setting for Druides and I need many characters to populate the world. I'm currently working on the next lore video, which will be about the tribe of the Feathers, a nomadic druidic tribe who lives in the southeast region of the continent of Ethedan. At the time of the story, the archdruid Thela has passed away from old age and the tribe council has to vote and decide who will be the next archdruid. The one that is most loved is the daughter of the late archdruid, Ashuni. Even though I already have a rough sketch of her, I need a proper concept that is more in line with the design language that I chose for the tribe of the Feathers. At this point, I need to decide a few core details about the character and how they will present themselves. Having already a setting gives me the info that I need, as I previously decided which type of influences I would like the tribe to have. If you are working on a one-off character, you can do the same. Decide some details that will be the foundation of the design and will inform the rest of the process. These are usually the facial and body characteristics. If it's a fantasy setting, that could be other races like elves, dwarves, or alien species for a sci-fi setting. You can decide if they will present themselves in any particular way, more feminine, masculine, neither, or something else entirely. Of course, you can also make up your own species of humanoid or not. This is your domain and you are the creator. The next thing I usually think about is the environment in which this character is going to live, because that affects the design immensely. Not only the clothing, but it could affect the aspect of the character itself. Is it a desert, a snowy mountain, the sea? It is important to determine this so you can keep building that foundation and make it stronger. All this preparation will make sure your end result will be solid. If the character is associated with a particular faction or group or guild, this could help gather more info about them and what equipment and gear they will be carrying. The list of details about the character is filling up nicely. At this point, I usually take a break from writing and gather some reference images. Following the annotations you now have, scout the internet, your image folders, and the real world to find the images that you feel are the best at conveying what you are envisioning for your character. To create reference boards, I use PureRef. I love this tool. I've used it for so many years. It's simple and effective and it's free to use. On a new PureRef board, I passed all the reference images I've put together, and I like to move them around and place them in a way that makes sense for me. Everything that is related to the aspect or pose of the character to one side, the clothing reference on another side, some of the props, and sometimes some references are just for the overall mood and environment, and I like to place these on top. Now you should have a nice overview of what you put down so far for your design. It is time to decide who this character is, what is their story, and especially their nature and behavior. For these, I start from a very basic background story. Nothing overly complicated, just to decide who they are, where they come from, what are their goals and desires, what do they despise and hate. I tend to do this while putting down the first sketches. I just think about it and take notes on a separate layer in the drawing programs I'm using. Also, is there anything about their affiliations that could guide their behavior? For example, a cleric, a religious person, will have a set of rules to abide by, and maybe they are fearful or feverishly obsessed with a cause. All the details that you already put down could guide you in the writing of this individual you're creating. It is time for my favorite part, sketching. I usually start with the very rough drawings to design the overall silhouette and the pose that works best for the design. Poses are inspired by the characters themselves too, so I try to keep in mind what I've decided so far and communicate their behavior through their body language. I try my best to keep my reference images number low to avoid any confusion or decision paralysis, but if I have a particular pose in mind for which I will benefit from having an actual image to guide me, I will stop and go look for that. Then I come back to my sketches. Depending on the design and if I have a clear idea in mind, I will do a lot of these quick sketches or just a few. When you feel that you have a nice selection, try and pick the ones that you like the most. Could be 3 or just 1. Sometimes it's none, so you go back to sketching more. When I have these sketches that I feel are going in the right direction, I start working on a cleaner line art and adding the details. I always keep in mind what has been decided for this character, so I know the right direction and I keep my references open to guide me. Try to not feel limited by the references that you chose. If a new idea for the clothing, for example, comes to mind, try it. The images board in the end is there as a helping hand. Now that my basic sketch is ready, it's time to work on the final line art. For the clean final line art, lately I've been having fun with this ink brush. It's very different from my usual round simple brush, but it's so fun to use. It really makes it possible to add some of the shadow details into the line art, and it gives a sort of like a traditional feeling to the whole line art, which I really like. Something that I try to keep in mind while designing the clothing, especially for characters, it's the order of the elements. So you have the bigger shapes. In this case, maybe it's like the overall shape of the character, like the cape, and then you have medium shapes, and you have the smaller shapes, smaller elements. I think all 3 categories are really important to define and make the whole character look more interesting. So smaller elements like the jewelry and the small decorations on the character itself are very, very important, as much as the medium shapes like the balloon-like trousers that this character has, maybe the shape of the shoes, maybe if they have a hat, and then you have like bigger shapes where you can exaggerate. So maybe there's a coat or an armor, something that really goes out of the basic silhouette of the character. I feel that I want to push myself more in the big shapes design, because I am usually very, very concentrated on the smaller and medium elements, and my overall designs, like the big shapes, are always very realistic, so I don't tend to go overboard with those, but I definitely feel the need to experiment more with the bolder shapes. When I'm satisfied with the design and the level of details in the line art, I could decide to leave the concept as is, or go further and add colors, light, rendering of materials, maybe use some textures to add more details. It is time to have some fun adding colors. For this character concept, I will use my favorite technique, which is making a flat color base and then with a clipping mask add the separate colors of all the elements of the character. I know it might look crazy that I'm doing this base layer by hand. Like I probably could, do a selection, fill the selection with a flat color, but I don't know why I really enjoy doing it by hand. It feels like coloring pages, something like that. So I find it really relaxing. After my basic layer with the one flat color is done, I usually start, of course, adding the different colors for the various elements. And for this lately, I've been using this like fuzzy texture brush, and I activate the color dynamics. So I have some variation in the hue and saturation of the color, and it's very subtle, but I think it really gives a nice effect, especially if you don't intend to add a lot of lights and shadows after, and you want to leave the colors pretty flat. It still gives a little bit of variation and it keeps the colors interesting. When it comes to choosing the colors for the character design, I actually rely heavily on my references because I am not really the best at picking colors out of nowhere. So I tend to rely on the images that I saved in my board and use that as a base, like as a starting point. And from there on, I will experiment and try to add new colors to the mix and see what works, what doesn't. But yeah, I usually need some images to inspire a starting point for me. For this character design in particular, I could actually play and have fun with funky colors because that's the direction that I chose for the Tribe of the Feathers. They have different textiles, different patterns, loads of colors. So it was really fun to be able to go crazy and add and mix different colors that maybe on another character I won't be able to do. So it was a nice occasion to experiment and yeah, have fun with the colors. When I feel I've reached a point where the design is readable, I like the color palette, the details, and the character looks like what I've established during all that prep, I will stop working and consider the character design done. I could keep working on this forever as the perfectionist I am, but lately I've been trying to have more fun with my concepts and try new techniques. This coloring process allows me to make more concepts in a shorter amount of time, and given that I'm making a whole world building project, I need a lot of concepts, so I need time. I personally love seeing other artists' processes for designing and creating, so I hope you like to see my character design process too, and that it could be useful to you in some way. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Leave a like and subscribe to my channel so I can keep doing more, and let me know if you have any topics you would like me to discuss in future videos. I am already working on the next YouTube video, which will be a lore video about the Tribe of the Feathers, so you will get to know more about this character that I designed here and her tribe. Follow me on my socials to have updates on what I'm working on. And remember that I stream twice per week here on YouTube and on Twitch, so you can ask questions live or just stop by to say hello. You can also join the Druwides Discord server and be part of the Druid Cove. I wish you all a great day, and I will see you in the next video.